Your Graces, my Lord Bishops, permit me to be biased to especially greet the Bishop of my church, the Anglican Church. I saw his Grace just yesterday when I was in Abuja. And I thank the Lutheran Church for hosting me again, second time within 6 weeks. I thank you all. And I thank General Anania, our father, for forgiving me for sending a representative during his book launch. But I made sure I sent a very senior citizen that was better known than myself. Baba, I congratulate you on your book, and I sympathize with you today on this occasion. On behalf of the SDP, we had written a tribute, which has been widely published in the newspapers. One of the constraints of being a presidential candidate is that you are not free to talk. So you write on behalf of a group. So that one we wrote and is published is on behalf of my party. But since I'm in the house of God, I'm speaking here now as a Christian brother. So let me start by speaking for myself. Air Commodore Dan Sulaiman, someone I've known personally for many years. And where I come from, in Ondo, he has a very high reputation. Many will remember that it was my uncle, Festus Adesanya, that was the team leader that established the Nigerian Air Force. And they had the responsibility to divide the defense into Army, Navy, and the Air Force. And they recruited and trained many of the officers and sent them on training. And as at the time I got to know Air Commodore Dan Sulaiman, he was chairman of North-South Bank. And my uncle was chairman of First Bank. And he was always speaking well about Dan Sulaiman. We call him solid character. And if my uncle will call you a solid character, you cannot be made of cement. You must be made of steel before you could call you a solid character. Because he was not the type that will praise you if you score 95%. He would say, explain to me the other 5%, what happened. So he had a lot of respect. And I had a second uncle who later became very close to Air Commodore Dan Sulaiman. That was Dr. Frederick Fasil, who was leader of NADECO. And if anybody knows anything about NADECO, they are experts in making you risk your life. They are very good at that. Their most dangerous meetings will be held in your house. And 2 people fell victim of that, maybe voluntarily. It was the Navy officer, Kano, former governor of Lagos State, Ndubisi Kano. And the second, if not the first, they shared the risk together, was Air Commodore Dan Sulaiman. I was one time in Mushi when my uncle came back and said, we're trying to hold a meeting, but they have gone to bomb the house of Air Commodore Dan Sulaiman. So his house was bombed. Later I saw them in Apapa, in the house of, in the place where Chief Enahoro was staying. And they were preparing to leave the country at that time because their lives were under severe threat. And in the course of time, I will meet Air Commodore Dan Sulaiman. I will always remind him of that. And he's always been very proud. The only thing I can say, because I come from a family of military officers, and he shares this thing with them. They are always surprised that they are alive, because they prepare to die anytime. So something that will frighten you, they will laugh at it. I'll meet many, sometimes when I see people today and I ask them, oh, you are still alive. I got that from many of my uncles who were in the army. When they see each other, oh, how are you? So you are still alive. Because they believe that a bullet that is meant for the soldier is somewhere. You are only alive because the person in whose hand your bullet is has not come to give it to you. But another thing, as I was growing up in Nigerian politics, that I noticed that Air Commodore Dan Sulaiman, as strong as he was sensitive to injustice. And I think that comes from being a successful minority. You are successful, you are doing well in your career, you are doing well in everything, but because you are one step away from vulnerability. You are always sensitive when others are not well treated. And in one of those few NADECO meetings, even Bekor Sokuti, who was very used to joking, if he joked too much and the joke was unfair to somebody, Commodore Sulaiman will not be happy about it. He was very sensitive to anybody being treated unfairly. Now I understand. And in recent times, when I was searching for the reason why Nigeria was struggling with these security problems, somebody told me, why don't you go to Air Commodore Sulaiman? So I went to him, and I sat down with him, and I was discussing with him, why do we have this problem? And he gave me a long insight as to why Nigeria has these defense and security challenges. What I see is that all his life, he will see himself as an officer inside the cockpit. That's as a fighter pilot. He will always look at things from that perspective. So this morning, when we were told that the church service was being delayed or adjusted because the aircraft could not take off in Abuja, I said, well, it's a fitting tribute to an airman. When they are alive, they're always watching the weather. And on his last day today, he's still battling with the weather. So I would want us to learn a lesson from the life of this man. The man remained one of the greatest hope that a Nigerian can make himself a highly disciplined person. A Nigerian from a minority can be well respected globally. A man can serve in the military. And I found out, and thanks to General Anania being here, one of the greatest Nigerians, in spite of our ironical experience with military rule, one of the finest Nigerians ever you will meet are those who serve in the military. The military discipline allows them to keep their word. 99% of the time, if the military man said this, of course there are little exceptions, but the rule is that the military man is well trained, well experienced, and they are committed to the country. All we can play as a testimony to Air Commodore Sulaiman are 5 things, which, if you allow me, as I'm concluding. One is that the country is more important than any other person. And a soldier who can live his entire life on the basis that his country can call for his life anytime is your #1 example. 2, that those who see the world from the air will see better than you. So respect fighter pilots and airmen when they are talking to you, because they have an appreciation of the situation. 3, that in civilian life, we have a lot to learn from those who went through the rigor of military training. You learn a lot from them in terms of the friendship they build, in terms of the ability to hold institutions together, in terms of the ability to meet targets, to have order, and all those things. And no country in the world that I know that has developed well that does not respect those who have had military training. 4, that a country's greatness lies in how the minorities of that country feel. And any country that takes advantage of majority strength, majority number, majority anything, that country will not go far. A country is only strong when the minorities of that country don't feel that they're a minority, where they can rise to any level in that country, and where they feel like merit plays a role. But the politics of number, politics of winner take it all, cannot work for the country. And lastly, that however high you fly, in the end, you have to go to the ground. So we should have humility, and we should know that we are all brothers and sisters in this country. I thank you.
Thank you very much. We now call the representative of Let Air